What's going on, team? It's Caddy with Money Vesting. I hope that you all are having an amazing day. So in this video, we're going to talk about the S&P 500 futures and the Nasdaq futures and where they are trading right now and where can we find those next key support and resistance levels for next week. Next week is also going to be one of the busiest weeks because we have some big tech earnings coming out from Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and Google. And I've done a separate analysis on all of them that you're more than welcome to watch so that you can better prepare for those earnings calls. So in this video, I will be laying out exactly what we need to watch day by day. And then we'll jump over to my TradingView platform to look at the S&P 500 futures and the Nasdaq futures and how we can better prepare for next week. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to drop a like. It really helps out with the channel. Also subscribe if you're new. Make sure that you hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future market updates and videos related to investing and technical breakdowns. So tomorrow is not going to be as busy as later next week. So we only have companies like F5 Network, TrueBlue, SAP, and the durable goods report that is coming out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So following with that, on Tuesday, we have companies like Visa, 3M, Pfizer, McDonald's, Starbucks, and AMD, only to name a few, that are going to be reporting their earnings. That is obviously going to significantly impact the markets and where they trade. Along with that, we have the FOMC meeting that begins on Tuesday, and then we also have the consumer confidence report that comes out at 10 a.m. Eastern, along with the housing vacancies. That is going to be a really important report when it comes down to the residential and commercial properties and the real estate market. So moving on to Wednesday, we've got some big companies on that day that are reporting their earnings like Facebook, General Electric, Boston Scientific, PayPal, General Motors, Qualcomm, Deutsche Bank, and Barclays that are going to be reporting their earnings on that day, along with our advanced economic indicators, pending home sales, and the FOMC statement and the briefing from Jerome Powell. All of that is going to come out throughout the day. That is obviously going to affect as some really big catalysts for the markets. And then the Thursday is perhaps the biggest day for the markets. We've got Apple, Amazon, Google, Procter & Gamble, Ford, and Comcast, only to name a few, that are going to be reporting their earnings on that day, along with the unemployment claims numbers and where that initial claims number sits for last week. And the biggest catalyst perhaps on that day is going to be the real GDP number for the second quarter. Now, the second quarter was the exact timeline for when the global pandemic was fully in session. So we will find out how severely that affected the GDP of the United States and what the real GDP number looks like for the second quarter of 2020. And finally, to wrap up the week, on Friday, we have companies like Caterpillar, Merck, ExxonMobil, and Chevron, some of those energy companies that are going to be reporting their earnings, along with the personal income, employment cost index, Chicago PMI, and the consumer sentiment reports coming out early in the morning. So now we're going to jump over to my TradingView platform to look at the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq futures, where they're trading right now and where can we potentially see the next support and resistance levels moving forward. Alright guys, so here we are inside my TradingView platform. So right now, looking at the futures market, the S&P 500 futures are actually up right now, trading close to about 32.19, and they're up close to 0.5%. When we talk about the Nasdaq futures, they're up as well, trading close to over 66 basis points in the green. So this right here is going to be the S&P 500 index, ticker symbol SPX. And if you have been following up with any of my previous market updates, you have a really good understanding on what levels we're watching for next week. So the next key resistance is going to be right here at 32.30, which is also where the 9-day EMA is going to be. And that has previously acted as a really strong resistance. The support is going to stay put at 3200, which is what this green rectangle represents. So we're probably going to continue to trade in between this range throughout the week until we see a breakout or a breakdown from that level. If we do break out of the 32.30 level, then the next resistance is going to obviously sit at 32.80, which is where we have previously gone rejected multiple times, going back as far as July 21st, then again on July 22nd, and then more recently on July 23rd. The next support, if we were to break below 3200, is going to sit at 3180, because that has previously acted as some type of resistance going back as far as July 10th. So that's kind of like the the range for the S&P 500. I want to keep it really nice and short and concise for you guys so we can better prepare for next week. So 32.30, the next resistance. Beyond that, 32.80 is going to be the resistance that we need to watch if we are able to break out of that level. The near-term support continues to stay at 3200. If we do break below that level, then 3180 is going to be the next support and our next bull camp that we need to watch very closely. Now jumping over to the Nasdaq, which is going to be ticker symbol IXIC, and if I were to go ahead and show you guys what exactly I'm going to be watching for the Nasdaq index, the support is going to be right here, which is at 10,200, and that's going to be the near-term support because that has previously acted as some type of resistance going back as far as June 23rd, and more recently on July 14th, that actually did validate as really good support, and you guys can see that right here, it did validate more recently as well on July 24th. The next resistance I'm going to be watching for Nasdaq is going to be right here, which is at 10,800, because that's essentially where we have found a double top and the pattern essentially got rejected right here, and then we sold off close to about 5.7 to 5.8% for the Nasdaq index. So that's kind of like the range I'm going to be following for Nasdaq, and moving forward, depending on how we do with all these different earnings and different catalysts that are going to be coming out next week, I can potentially see the pattern trading in between this range before we see a breakdown or a breakout out of those levels. Again, there's no certainty as to where the pattern can potentially go, but those are some of those levels that I will personally be watching from a key support and resistance standpoint. If we do break below the 10,200 level for the Nasdaq, then the next support I'm going to be watching is around 10,080 to 10,088, and the reason is very simple because that has previously acted as some type of resistance for the Nasdaq, and as soon as it hit that level, it kind of pulled back close to 6.5% until finally breaking out and then pulling back once again. So that previous resistance can continue to act as a very good support, very similar to what we are seeing right now, this previous resistance from June 23rd acting as a very strong support right now for the Nasdaq. So that right there was my quick technical breakdown on both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. Right now they're both trading higher for the futures market. Both of them are up over 0.5% right now, but again, that is no representation on where the markets could potentially open tomorrow because there's a lot of things that can change overnight. As always, make sure that you are aware of the upcoming calendar and what to look out for in terms of the briefings related to FOMC, related to the stimulus update, and the big earnings that are coming out. Make sure that you drop a like if you did enjoy this video. Also subscribe and hit that notification bell. As always, happy investing, and I will see you guys in the next video.